It's time for Adventures in Careerland. Hello, everyone. I'm Adriano Magnifico. I'm the Career and Entrepreneurship Consultant at Louis Riel School Division. And we are in Adventures in Careerland. The Careerland Adventure platform is all about students. It's about students' experiences. It's about the decisions they make. It's about why they choose what they do. And it's all about career development. So we're super excited about this podcast. We're in year 2, and we are in episode number 5. So I'd like to introduce to you our student producers. So Zoe, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm good. How is COVID treating you?
It hasn't been too bad, other than school being online for the next couple of weeks.
You always say that. You are the most pleasant, happiest person maybe that in this building. You're always so happy around COVID. I don't get it. You must be a delight to be around at home. People love you at home, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'd
Yes,
say
they
so.
do. I'd say so. Akira, how are you doing? Akira Sakaki. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well.
And
Very well, thank you.
And you just kind of mentioned to me that you are sitting in a disheveled basement on the floor somewhere, being the producer of this podcast, because we rely on you to do that. Tell me how COVID's treating you today.
It's all right. I'm not like Zoe. I'm not super optimistic like she is all the time. So it kind of sucks. I'm kind of down because I like to be at school and doing things in person, but I'll get through it.
Are you saying this is not a great experience talking with me right now? I'm a little disappointed.
No, I love talking to you, Mr. Magnifico. Don't put me on the spot like that.
And I'll be honest, you're making my day. Both of you guys make my day every time we do this podcast because we are having real conversations. I totally get this, man. This COVID just shuts us down, and you have to go seek them, right? But part of our goal is to always go seek. Don't let this stuff get you down. Go out and continue to seek and find and connect yourselves to human beings and possibilities for yourself. That's what career development's all about. So as always, my crackerjack team of producers is running the show today. But today, boy, are we lucky. We're lucky today, as in every day. I think we're finally going to have a great show, okay? Because we've had a lot of great shows, but we have a really great show because we have a special guest from Collège Béliveau. My son went to that school way back when. He was president at that school way back when. Priya Meyler is from Collège Béliveau in the Louis Riel School Division. Priya, how are you?
I am good. How about yourself?
I'm good. And how is COVID treating you today?
I mean, it got me outside, so that's good.
It's got outside.
Yeah.
So you're bringing up a neat point. What are the advantages of COVID? We always talk about what sucks about it, right? But what are some of the good things about COVID?
Being remote, I would say one of the best things is definitely that I get to go at my own pace. I find that's always a good thing. Also, I can be outside when I learn. That's pretty awesome as well.
It is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you taking lots more walks and you're going out a lot more?
Yeah, for sure. Like if I ever want to see my friends, we have to go on walks and stuff. So I am walking.
Are you walking with masks 6 feet apart from each other?
Yes, actually.
I know, it's amazing. So all the walks are being transformed. So if you don't want to wear your mask, you're like 10 feet apart. I see people walking on opposite sides of the sidewalk. But that's what we have to do, right? This is a public order, and we're all in it for each other. Now, Priya is a very special person because she's in grade 12, and grade 12 is that cataclysmic year in high school where you have to make that call and you're going to leave somewhere. So in grade 12, so what are you doing in grade 12 right now to prepare yourself for life after high school?
Right now I am definitely talking to my family more, getting their experiences with being in grade 12, transitioning into university. I've already applied to universities. I've been getting myself ready with scholarships and stuff like that. Pretty much like the basics. Kind of enjoying the last few months that I have left.
That's very interesting. Now, now, how big is your family? Who are your brother and
Um,
sisters?
I have one younger brother. His name is
Okay.
Cullen. He also goes to
Okay.
Bellevaux.
Okay.
And then my mom and dad. My mom's a grade 4 teacher, and then my dad works for the government. So quite the variety there.
Oh, that's good. Now, how important are they in your decision making?
Um, pretty important actually. Like my mom being a teacher, I actually used to want to be a teacher.
Yes.
Um, so I actually
Like
kind of
like
got,
Blue Bloods, right? You ever watch Blue
yeah.
Bloods? Yeah, everybody's a cop. So
Yeah.
everybody's a teacher. Yes.
I almost got to get exposed to that earlier on because I would always go volunteer in her classroom. And that actually showed me that I did not want to be a teacher. So I kind of got that, I guess, step out of the way. And it made my path more clear, which was nice.
So this is fascinating. So what happened to you? You want to be a teacher because you see your mom doing it because you love your parents. Everybody wants to be like their parents when they're little kids, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so whatever they are, if they're rocket scientists or engineers or they run restaurants or they're entrepreneurs, kids kind of grow up in that environment, in that culture. So what happened in school? Was it something in school that made you say, no, I want to do something else? What was the moment?
I think it was a combination of discovering like my other passions and realizing how much more I enjoy those over teaching, and also being in that environment, helping her out in classes and being like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. So it was kind of a mix of both of those.
Okay, so interesting. So you were connected to the teaching, you saw the teaching. What didn't you like about it?
I think as much as you get a different challenge every day, it was a little too like repetitive, almost too I don't know how to describe it. Like it was just like you had to teach this, you had to teach this. And I did like the creativity of like being able to kind of teach it how you want.
Yes.
But
yes.
I found it frustrating, like when when her little grade 4 kids wouldn't listen, and I was like, well, why aren't they listening? Like I never got it. But I feel like I wouldn't be able to find the balance because in high school you can't be as creative when you're teaching.
That's
so
right. That's right.
yeah.
But you can be. You can be. It's just that must be Bellevaux. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't say that. We won't spread that around. Bellevaux is a great place. My kids went there. Bellevaux is one of the homiest schools around, though. It's such a friendly school. Do you feel that way?
I do actually. Like, I don't know. I don't know why people would ever like think it's not good. I find all of us as students, like we're pretty close, I would say.
You are. That's what I found with my son too. He's still very close to his Bellevaux comrades from school. And I found it, the relationships between students and teachers are pretty tight there. Like I thought it was really nice. Like and it's not as big as a giant school. So you get that you get that smaller little atmosphere along with some good teaching and kids who are speaking French and English. It's just, for me, it's such an engaging place to be. Bellevaux is a good place. Now I'm curious about, what did you discover about yourself that was not teaching for me? Okay, what did I discover that you're moving into or you think you want to move into?
Sciences. 100%. Yeah, like I'm looking to go into dentistry actually. So
dentistry. So you like looking down people's throats.
Yep. Perfect for COVID.
Perfect for COVID. Yeah, that's not COVID friendly dentist.
Exactly.
That'll be good. But I went to my dentist. I did during COVID at one time. The guy was dressed in practically a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Have you been to one of these dentists where they?
I have. Yeah. It's
oh my
crazy.
gosh, it is crazy, and they're so diligent. I'm so impressed with my dentist and how careful he is about COVID and about the transmission of this stuff. So, wow. So dentistry, sciences. What connected you to that? Were there teachers in the subjects? Were you taking a workshop somewhere? What did you do?
I think I'm trying to think back at when it started. I don't know if you know what Project Pulse is.
Okay, explain it. Yeah, go ahead. Explain it.
Project Pulse, it's like this day where it gives an opportunity for high school students to go to a health science center. Yes. This is before COVID, obviously. And this was back in grade 9. And they have like a panel of different doctors, basically a bunch of people who work in sciences. And one of them was a dentist. And when it was her turn to speak, I just found everything about her job so like intriguing. I was just like, wow. Like that sounds like something I would so want to do. It's hands-on, it's different all the time, you get to be super sweet to your patients, and like just the kind of stuff they dealt with. Like I thought,
You know what's
like,
cool though about it too? Think about it. Like there's some places people hate to go. I don't like going to my dentist. I'm always afraid. I'm
yeah.
always afraid of what he's going to find or what he's going to drill, and I can't stand those.
Mhm.
So you're going to deal with a lot of people who are afraid to be in that room. How do you feel about
Yeah.
that?
Well, actually, that kind of brings me on to another point. Like I remember once I was at my dentist, and this is when I was telling her, like, this kind of interests me, and she was telling me, she's like, yeah, like I could see you being a dentist. I feel like you'd be very good at calming people down. And I was like, wow,
Oh,
a
cool.
dentist telling me I'd be good at what I want to do, like how much better can that get? Like that's awesome. So that really
that is.
pumped me up.
That's awesome. And it was a female too, right?
Yeah.
So did you feel kind of cool that I had a female dentist versus a male dentist, and was it empowering for you to see have your dentist be a female?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm pretty sure like almost all the dentists at the dentist office I go to are females. So it's super cool because I never realized that until like I talked to my friends, and a lot of of the dentists are like males. And so I was like, wow, it's kind of cool that like they have an
Very
all-female
cool.
clinic. Like that's super cool.
Very cool. Hey, hey, Zoe, what are you thinking about? Did anyone influence you in your life, Zoe? Like, have you gone to talk to anyone in the industry? What are you thinking, Zoe? You too, or no?
I haven't really spoken to anyone in the industry, but like I'm really into like musical theater and stuff. And my first year there was a student there, and she was always encouraging me or talking to me like, "Oh, you remind me of myself when I first started." And like she's like at the top of her game right now. Like she's like,
Wow.
super good. So like I realized that helped me, and like I am more open with that.
That's
So how
crazy,
did that-
like how much like little things like that, like people don't realize that what they're saying can like inspire someone so much. It's crazy.
I know, yeah.
No, that's a powerful piece, right? It is like, and teachers have to be careful about that because they interact with students all the time. You never know what we say that will make you turn on a dime about some decision or something you thought about. Like it's always very careful. Akira, anyone talk to you? Change your point of view?
Well, I'm into graphics. Like I think my graphic teacher, like Mr. Herkimer, he had a big role into like me wanting to be a graphic designer. And then broadcast and media, I've always been into that. But I've met other people, and they don't have anything to do with what I'm interested in pursuing as a career that have kind of inspired me. Like a musician, like I've met musicians accidentally, and I'm kind of into music, so that's been like really bizarre, but it's cool, it's sweet.
But it is, eh? Like,
yeah.
The reason I ask these questions is it's that stepping out of your zones and just going. I love that you went to the Pulse event. You stepped out of your zone, went to the Pulse event, heard somebody who's not in your circle, right? And boom, look at the influence that person had on you. And I like I like Zoe and Akira, what you're saying. I connected to this and it has stuck with me. And those things, part of career development is what kind of sticks to you as you engage in all these activities, right? What kind of and the teaching stuck to you at one time and it didn't. Other things began to stick to you, which is kind of cool. I like this calming effect of you though, Priya. Like the fact that you can calm people down. Like for me, that's a leadership piece, right? Like where do you assert leadership? Like where do you think, or do you feel like you're a leader and you feel like you want to create and lead and have followers with you and that kind of thing toward causes and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like I get a really good sense of leadership when I kind of bring up topics like that. So like when I bring up ideas or bring up like interesting like kind of points that like get other people engaged, I'm like, oh, like I kind of just started like a little conversation like that's kind of cool. So I'd say that, yeah, I do enjoy it for sure.
And the reason I bring that up obviously is because you were a leader. We just had something in Louis Riel School Division, and Zoe and Akira were busy in school and they couldn't attend, but they had their ear to the pulse of it as it was going on, which is kind of cool because they were in broadcast media doing their program and they couldn't get to some of the sessions. But we ran an event in Louis Riel called Beyond the Horizon, a virtual summit created by students for students, and you were one of the organizers on a student team.
Yeah.
So how did this thing, and you had students come to this event. There were no adults there, right?
There were, but they weren't like part of the process, I guess. They were just taking notes for us.
Okay, well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But it was students running this, creating it, implementing it, dialoguing through it, teaming through it, all that kind of piece. So what I'm really, and you were discussing some pretty big topics. First of all, I'm thinking of, why do you even make an event like this?
I think like as a group, we kind of decided that like the importance of making an event like this, especially like in this pandemic time, is that like students don't really feel like they have a voice, or if they do, they might not feel like it'll be taken seriously, or any change will be like made with just their voice. So having this youth summit kind of acted as like a little panel, like a little platform for students to speak up and show that like we all have the same thoughts, we all have the same beliefs, stuff like that, that it lets us be able to communicate that to all the teachers and all the higher authorities.
Well, and even organizing this, what was all the tech involved with it? How did you do that? Did you work with the division, or did you guys do everything?
So as far as like social media posts, my group we were the content creators. So we kind of got the posts out, we made the captions. Some people on my team made the invitations. So we sent it we had an email for the youth summit. Then our main organizer, she was an adult, her name was Taylor. Yes. She would send that out to everyone.
That's Taylor Fenn from Louis Riel School Division.
Yes,
who's one of the communications people there. Yes. So the platform, did you guys set up the platform, or did you just use Teams? What did you all do?
We used Teams to communicate like from one another. The actual day of, we used Zoom, just because I think that we could use more people. But to get the word out, we used the Louis Riel Instagram, as you've probably seen.
Saw that. Yep.
Yeah, and we also, at least at my school, we had posters up to promote this event as well. So that was pretty neat seeing that.
Well, it was amazing because you had a grade 5 to 8 version. What was that? What was it? You had two versions, a 5 to 8 version. Yeah. And you had, oh my gosh, you must have had 1,000 people in the 5 to 8 version. I'm reading a note here that said you had 130 classrooms. Think about that. Times 20. That's huge. You got like 1,000 people attending this thing, like thousands of people.
And I love the fact that it was grade 5 to 8, because when we first started, I remember thinking like, oh, it's probably going to mostly be like grade 9 to 12, because like they've been through like high school, they know like what has worked, what hasn't. But the fact that these grade 5 to 8 kids, like they also know what changes they want to see, like that's awesome to me.
So I found that amazing. What was the difference between, you had a grade 5 to 8 session in the morning and then grade 9 to 12 in the afternoon? What was the difference between what the 5 and 8s were saying versus the 9s and 12s in any topic?
Honestly, like I didn't get to attend fully the grade 5 to 8. I did attend some though, but the 5 to 8, it was crazy how similar their responses were, because as a class, like they got to kind of bounce off each other's ideas. A big difference was just that the grade 9 to 12 was more developed answers. Like their answers were more thought out for high school, whereas I think the grade 5 to 8s, it was more so for like their own social life, like sleepovers, stuff like that. Like, yeah.
Okay. So what was in the 9 to 12? What, like, you were talking about some pretty big topics: mental health, well-being, learner voice and choice, Indigenous education, land-based learning, equity and inclusion. What stood out for you from the 9s and 12s?
For me, and I think this is just because this is the one topic that I feel most strong about, I would say, was the mental health one. I found that one really bounced off of everyone. Like everyone had something to say at one point or another in that meeting about mental health and well-being.
How did you feel? Like they're struggling with it right now? Is it a COVID thing, or did COVID just kind of exacerbate what was there? What was your feeling?
I definitely feel like COVID brought that out.
Okay.
Already, like one of the main things that we talked about that I'm a strong like advocate for is the fact that we had all these extra mental health like resources and activities, little things here and there to, make us happy in classes, because COVID's bringing us down. But in my mind, I'm like, mental health doesn't just appear because of COVID. Like, bad mental health doesn't just appear because of COVID.
Yes.
Sure, it might make it worse, but chances are it's already been there from the start. So why can't we have this, like, these resources and these activities all the time? Like, this should be something that we always have,
Well, think about it. What came out of it? Do you feel like you guys came up with some good solutions or some good ideas? What was an idea that came out that you thought was good? Or is it just the idea of having this forum a key thing?
I think it's a mix of both. Like, we definitely got a lot of good feedback. Some that I think most of us could already, like, we already knew, but I think just having those extra voices behind it, being like, hey, we aren't the only ones thinking this, definitely helped. So, like, little things like for mental health in specific, like extra resources, maybe spaces to take a breath, realistic ways to deal with mental health, like outbursts at school, stuff like that has been introduced to us through COVID that we want to see even after the pandemic.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I'm thinking when it comes to the you talked about equity and inclusion in pieces. What came out of that piece? That's a major school piece. Like, how do people have access? How do they all feel worthy? How do they all feel like they're a part of this and they can succeed at any level the same as anyone else here? Did you guys talk about that? The effects of poverty, for example?
We didn't really get on that one. I have all my notes here. Like, that one we mostly...
That's a tough one, you guys.
Because we were talking, it was a tough one, but because we were just getting so many ideas, like,
yes,
a lot of I think some of our slides got missed, but like, as far as equity goes, I don't think we really talked about that one as much.
No, that's okay. Like, that it's a pretty heady collection of things you want to talk about. If you didn't get to that one, the mental health might have sucked up most of the time. Like, there's so much to talk about there. How about even you've talked about learner voice, just the voice.
Yeah. That kind of like goes into like the platform, like having that platform to be able to communicate on. Stuff like this youth summit, like, just knowing that, like, students should be able to, it's a school, it's full of students, they should be able to feel comfortable voicing what they feel is right, what they feel is wrong, what they feel could help them throughout their learning journey, and be able to see those changes,
Did you guys have any ideas about how you can do that? Like, we used to have things called student councils. You don't have that. Like my son was a president at Belleville, and they had a student council that was elected. Now you guys have things called, I think, leadership groups and such.
Yeah, leadership groups.
Now, what other mechanisms did you guys talk about? We ought to have this, or we should have this, or anything like that?
I feel like, honestly, that'll probably mostly come up on the 31st, which is our PD day with the teachers. So we actually get to communicate everything that we took out of the summit to the teachers. Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
So you guys have to do some thinking then, right? Like, you have to bring those notes together and say, hey, we want to bring student councils back or whatever, or we want better spaces where we can go and just decompress, or we want better systems of creating friends and buddies that we can talk to, advocates that we can talk to, maybe those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because, like, I know, like you were saying at Belleville, all the teachers and students, like, the relationships are so like good.
It's a beautiful place.
It's honestly, it's not something that's so like far-fetched. Like, it's not like completely out of reach. Like, it's something that's so attainable. I think it just needs to have that, like, take that step forward. Do you know what I mean?
I love that. So everything's there. You just got to kind of reshuffle the deck a bit. To move resources in certain areas, because all the pieces are there. That's brilliant. That's a good idea. And you know what? That's an easier way to do it than to say, we need to add on a room with a capital cost or construction, like those guys at College Jean Sylvain. I'm kidding. They keep adding on to the building, which is good for them. Hey, Akira, I see you got your hand up there.
Yeah, I did. Like I think we kind of moved on from this topic, but I just wanted to
That's
jump
okay.
in with the mental health thing, because I completely agree with you when it comes to mental health. I know it's not like it's definitely not something that COVID brought on its own. It's been something that's always been like underlining, but COVID
Mhm.
has definitely brought it forward, and it's a stressful time, and I can see it. And I was actually talking to my teacher the other day, and I was saying like the backlash, like the side effects later on from COVID, just like with mental health, is going to be huge. So it's really important to have those resources out there and available for
Mhm.
people. So
Yeah,
I
for
completely
sure.
agree with what you were saying there. Yeah.
Well, Akira, you're making the good point. Like I mean, you both are, everybody is, but it's, there is going to be uh, a backlash to this, right? There are going to be some mental, are we prepared? Like we weren't as prepared for COVID. Are we prepared
Mhm.
for some of the mental health issues that are going to begin to uh, take charge when COVID's done? I hope this is a learning experience for us
Mhm.
because we have to do the
Well,
prep. You are huge here, Priya. Your team of students is huge here to say, here's what we need.
mhm. Mhm.
You know?
And like we even talked about that a little bit, like kind of like, bad habits we learned or developed, as well as like little things from online school that we've developed through COVID that like might be hard to shake afterwards, and how we think that we're going to prepare for that. Like just those little conversations of like kind of letting everyone else know, like, okay, you're not alone, like everyone else is dealing
Yes.
with these little things
Yes.
too, so like don't worry if you haven't had that human connection, or don't worry if like you feel like your social anxiety might have gotten worse. Like it's happening to
Yes.
everyone, so you don't have to like worry.
And I hope you guys think about or even talk about with some of the teachers, what are how can we be more mindful? How can we do more mindful exercises in
Mhm.
school? Like places where you can do that and where it's accepted. Because honestly, when I was going to school, if I sat in a room and just quietly sat, I mean, I would be ridiculed. I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you. It's like it's taken on a new meaning, I think, about
Mhm.
these are effective. And there's all kinds of research that shows that being mindful and doing mindful exercises with students helps to decrease some levels of stress. So,
Yeah, it
wow,
really does.
there's great challenges there. Now, you're in grade 12. So, what you're going into dentistry, you're going into sciences then next year, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to USB, so going into sciences, and then
The
from
the,
there,
the Université.
yeah.
This thing Boniface. All right. All right. No, that's good. So how is your French? Are you really happy you took a French immersion program?
You know what? I am. But honestly, that is probably one of the most stressful things right now that I find about going into USB is I am a little bit worried about like my level of French, because like I won't lie, I'm a hardworking student. I'm always worried about
Yes.
having low grades, but I found that I've always struggled with French. Not sciences, not math, but French. I just like I don't know what it is about it, but I found that going into USB, I was a little bit worried that like, oh, like what if this French course brings down my grade? What if.
Yes. Yes.
So that's probably been on my mind the most. But in the end,
Well,
I'm glad that I have French in my
I,
pocket.
you know what, it's going to be huge for you. And what the French has done for your brain in terms of the synapses firing for all kinds of possibilities of learning. You've done yourself a great service doing this. No matter if you continue in French, but if you're continuing in it, I can tell you quickly, my niece had the same concern you did.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to the Université and she struggled for the first couple of months because it's it's pure French.
Yeah.
Everything on the wall is French. Every piece of information you get is French. And those French have a different word for everything. It's
Yep.
amazing. I'm kidding. But she got it. She figured it out. She went on, and her
Yeah.
French is really impressive now because she did it in
Mm-hmm.
French. So I think if you just don't get discouraged, is my point. I think if you
Mm-hmm.
persevere and you're in that environment, 8 hours a day, boom,
Yeah.
it's going to
Yeah,
come to
for
you. And
sure.
I suspect your French is way better than you think as well.
Hopefully. I've been told the same thing. Like I know one of my teachers who's actually a French teacher. She said like, yeah, like I had the same thought when I was going to USB. Like my French was not that good, and she's an amazing French speaker now. So I look at that, and that definitely helps. But it's always hard to picture
Hey Zoe,
before.
aren't you a French speaker, Zoe?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Do you see that as a big advantage having French and English? Like you're a francophone, aren't you? Would you consider that yourself a francophone?
I'd say so.
And you
Yeah.
speak it at home a lot?
Not really. Mostly with my younger brother, so that he learns French, and so that it's easier for him when he goes like to kindergarten and stuff.
Oh, way to
Other than
go.
that, it's mostly English.
What a thoughtful sister. You are, Zoe. You're a beautiful person. I'd be beating up my brother. Anyway, that's amazing. So the French thing is a good thing. Akira, do you wish you took French?
Okay, this is a funny story actually. Like when I was in grade 6,
I'm already
my
laughing.
mom thought it'd be important. Yeah, my mom thought it would be important to speak French because I speak Spanish, Japanese, and English.
Wow.
And she's like, well, you
Wow.
live in Canada, so you might as well learn French too. And then she tried to transfer me like in grade 6 to Lacerte and like Ecole Lacerte. And they asked me to do a French exam. Like it was just like they were asking me like really easy, like count to 10 French. And I failed purposely because I didn't want to leave Frontenac.
Oh my
So,
God.
so I never took French. If I would have passed, I would have probably gone to to Lacerte and then continued.
Well,
in,
how
like,
would you?
French,
Well,
but-
it's an interesting thing. How did you fail on purpose? Like, did you know any French at all?
Well, they were like asking me to count to like 10, and that's like the basic stuff we learned at like Frontenac to do. So I was just like
Right.
butchering it on purpose and stuff, and it was really funny. And I didn't tell my mom till like I was in grade 9. And she was like, "Wow."
Wow, this is amazing. I thought, is your mom going to discover it on this podcast?
Oh,
Da-na-na.
she knows. She knows. Like she was mad at me. She's like, "Really? You just like threw that opportunity." It was like I didn't want to leave though. I'm happy. But like I feel like yeah, I should have probably learned French.
Well, that's
I agree with you. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that you didn't go to a French school, but I do think it's something that you probably should have done, just because of where we live,
Yeah.
like Manitoba and Canada, like we're an English and French like country, so like
Yeah.
those are the two main languages. It
they're
would have.
official. They're official
She'll
languages.
never forgive me. Yeah, she'll never forgive me for it. She's like, "Wow."
But the
really
beauty of
did
you
that."
guys, at your age still, Akira, if you want to, like, you have the language gift. You know other languages, so picking up other languages is not as difficult as it is for someone who's starting with one who's unilingual. So if you want
And
to pick
also,
it up,
you said you speak Spanish, right?
yes.
So, like,
Yeah, so it's
I don't know. I've
like my
heard that, like,
mom,
my
she's
friends
Spanish,
who learn
yeah.
Spanish, they say it's kind of like French, but I don't know if it goes the other way around. So,
yeah,
not
it's
exactly.
similar. It's
Yeah.
similar because they're all from like they're all from
Well,
Latin. It's like
they're all Latin
Italian,
languages.
French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Italian.
Right.
So
They
when I
share a
speak
lot of
Italian and
similarities.
French, I don't speak French very well, but they use the pronouns all the same way, right? And
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
they kind of look the same way and act the same way the languages do. Anyway, that's pretty cool. Now, so your plan is to go to university. Your plan is to be a dentist.
Mhm.
What do you think you're really good at? Like what kinds of, well, let me ask this first. What kinds of activities did you do in school that helped build you and turn you into who you are?
I would say definitely.
Like the summit would be the pinnacle. It looks like this is an
Yeah.
amazing thing. But
Yeah,
what were you
for
doing
sure.
up to that point to say, I'm ready for this. I'm gonna lead this summit.
I think it was more so like realization in myself, if that makes any sense. Like, I found
Like
the
you do things like I'm even taking it extracurriculars and stuff outside of school.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
or
yeah.
sports and anything you've done where it's built in you, this is dropped these seeds in you that said, I can do this summit.
Well, I play sports outside of school. I play softball. I've been playing that since I was like 6, I think. So that's been going on for a while. I've been on the same team with the same girls. I'd say that's probably where my main spark of like leadership comes out from.
And teamwork, right?
Teamwork for
the
sure,
whole
for
teamwork
sure.
piece and the communication piece. Are you a leader on the
Totally.
team? Would you consider yourself?
I don't think so. Like,
Okay.
I would say
okay.
I'd say it depends. Like, I think we're mostly like
Pretty
all
all
pretty
equal, right?
equal. Yeah,
That's
for
good.
sure.
That's good.
It's not
Okay.
too competitive. Like, it's mostly for fun.
Yes.
We're still a pretty good team, I will say. But I used to take dance. I used to do dance. So
Oh.
that the type of dance I did Irish dance. So that's kind of
Oh,
like
that's
a
hard
teamwork.
work. That's what
Yeah.
my niece did.
Oh,
She
really?
worked with the what's the dance school you went to then?
I went to McConnell, but there's also
McConnell. She was a McConnell dancer. In fact, I think she was, or there's another one, but
there's another one
I
called
remember,
McDonald's. So it's like two very similar.
I think it was McConnell. But you know what I used to love? Like when students would do that, they give me a ticket to their recitals.
Yeah.
And the best part of watching that is those little 4 and 5-year-olds coming out having no clue about
They're
how to
just jumping
dance.
around. It's
They're
so
jumping
cute.
around, and you see because you're a coach. I bet you coach. Did you coach some of the younger kids sometime?
I think I was with one camp. Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing that, and you see the coach or the teacher, the instructor, off in the wings, jumping up and down. Here's the next move, and there's somebody pointing. Hey, what is she doing? I don't know what's going on. A couple doing it right, 3 of them doing it wrong, and 4 of them picking their nose. It's it's fantastic. You guys are good, but you're not the show. The show is when those kids come out. Your absolute skill. Amazing stuff. It's when those little kids come out. That's good stuff.
For sure.
That's amazing. So anyway, you know what? That's what I think of when we talk about career development. And Akira, Zoe, and I talk about this all the time. It's about collecting dots and collecting the dots so you can connect them. And it sounds like you've been kind of connecting this. You've tried things, you've engaged these things. You get where some of your skills lie. So when you leave, when you go to university, what do you want it to look like when you're taking your science program? Just hard working? Are you going to join anything? What do you want to continue?
I want to, I'm excited for my sciences, obviously. I love science. I'm excited because I know that, I don't know about now in COVID, but I know there's such things as science clubs, and I feel like that would be really
get
fun.
into it. You're going to get into the science club. Oh,
I'm going to try, but I don't know. It depends with COVID. It's hard to see, hard to predict what it's going to look like.
Well, I encourage you to look at those things and to step outside. You got to get used to the language. You got to get used to your routine. You got to get that. But I encourage you to step outside your boundaries a little bit and get involved in some of those things.
Yeah.
You'll grow like a flower. It'll be amazing. And I can tell this has been, I've really enjoyed chatting with you and having this conversation about the kind of person you are and the kind of decisions. If you had to make, or you had to give some piece of cheap advice to a grade 11 student about here's what I've learned that may help you, what would you tell them?
I would definitely tell them that you never have to have your decision set in stone about what you want to do. You can change your career path literally whenever. I remember I used to be so stressed about what I wanted to do. I used to be like, oh my gosh, I have to have it decided by the end of grade 11. That is not it at all. Completely take your time because you want to be enjoying what you do for your life. So that's what I would say.
Wow, I'm writing that down because it's so profound. You're quite a profound person. I really enjoyed this conversation. Hey, Zoe, Akira, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Just
Akira,
you're an inspiration. It sounds like this is really good.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. That's nice. Zoe, that's so nice of you to say.
That is.
And of course, Akira Justin. Yeah, me too.
No, it's there's 3 voices in my head right now. It's actually funny because I'm in grade 12 and I always, when I hear these things, I'm just like, what have I done? It's nothing. I was like, oh, cool.
Well, honestly, I was never I was never someone who really was into this type of stuff until I realized that it was there, So.
Yes. I love that. It's there. It's there. Why don't we do it? Why don't I jump in? Why can't I do this?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anyway, Priya, what a pleasure having you on the team.
Thank you for having me.
Zoe and Akira, thanks for doing the able job you always do. And that's it for another edition of Adventures in Careerland. We will see you next time.